All right, here's new golf student Dan from yesterday. Dan had this pretty big problem coming over the top. So we see these hands, they go from this path, they come big kind of over the top, and they big over the top and chop across the golf ball. Few reasons for that, but the first one is just not closing the club face correctly through impact. So he would, get the hands sucked back a little bit behind him, and then kind of come over the top, and the club face would stay open through impact. And when that right hand pushes through impact, the club head passes the hands, it gouges into the ground. So one of the first things we needed to do, and it was really killing his driver also, because when the hands come over the top, when this hand path on the way down comes on the way down is outside the path on the way back, this club shaft plane gets stuck out over the top of the golf ball, and then the golfer has a tough time getting that club head down to the golf ball, and they either hit, so here's a perfect example, he doesn't get that club head down to the golf ball, this ball goes shooting along the ground. He's got this big kind of right hand push, the right wrist is going into flexion, left wrist is going into extension, in efforts to try to get that club head down to the golf ball. So the first thing we need to do is get him to close his club face correctly through impact, getting him to use his hands correctly through impact to close that club face as the hands lead the club head through impact. And then that way he can hit ball and ground without having to come over the top. Now, sometimes when the golfer learns to close his club face correctly, the right shoulder comes up a little high, and now that the club face is closing, actually, now the right shoulder can drive back and under the chin, and that's what we just get him here to do, is get him comfortable getting that right shoulder to drive back and under the chin, and that allows the club head to come down and out through the golf ball. Now we need to work on getting him used to the right path of the hands on the way back, and then the right transition. So here we keep his hands out in front of him. Now he can transition his hands back down and then out through the golf ball. Okay, so this first one is getting close. Right shoulder comes up a little bit high, but we're going to work on the wrist action through impact. So we're going to come here. We're going to work on his wrists, closing his club face without pushing with the right hand. We're actually going to use the wrist correctly to close this club face to allow the hands to lead the club head through impact. So you're going to see two more swings here. They're going to be pretty good looking. And I tell you what, we're going to get this other swing out of here. So we got two more swings here. So here's Dan's swing now that we've corrected the over the top. Here you can see the transition of the hands. They come back down so he can swing out through the golf ball. And now we've got this, instead of the hands coming over the top, now we've got the hands transitioning back and down, so then he can swing out through the golf ball. There he goes, and now he's able to hit ball then ground, and he's able to hit this ball, goes flying off, and we're going to have this little draw as the ball moves from right to left. So now we're going to see correct hand path on the way back, correct hand, and the much better transition instead of over the top. Now he's able to transition his hands back and down and swing out through the golf ball. And now he's able to hit ball then ground a lot easier. We don't have as much push with this right hand as before. There's only day one. And then now we're able to hit ball then ground, and we're able to correct that slice. So here's the ball heading out. We're going to have a little bit of a draw, so this ball is going to move from right to left. So as we zoom in here, we're going to see this ball actually draw, and it's going to come to the left here. There it is. So if you can see it here, this ball is kind of coming in right in this palm tree here. So it's moved from here, drawn from right to left. So now we're hitting draws into our target. So huge improvement. Great work, Dan, and we'll just keep improving from here and keep hitting draws now that we've fixed that slice.